This is a video about cat flaps, mainly about the Ranger Basic cat door from Freedom Pet Pass and how it is very useful when you have weather that's quite cold, such as the one that we have in Montreal, where I live in Canada. So during the summer, I have this basic cat flap. It's not well sealed, there's air coming all around. And my initial design for this is that I have a 2x4 frame that's painted green that's outside the window. So I can actually close this window if I want to. I have not lost my window. And on that frame, I add an acrylic panel and I just put the cat flap on this. But during the winter, it was quite cold. So what I ended up deciding to do is doubling the acrylic panel. So here I have the same frame, but I've added a sort of a piece so that I'm going to be able to switch the cat flap because the winter cat flap is quite bigger. And I have two acrylic panels, one on each side of the 2x3s, and I still have my window that can close. And so this is my summer cat flap. Let's face it, like design and whether it looks good or not are not things that are important for me. But I'm sure you could make it much nicer if you just try a little. And so this is good enough for the summer. It's perfect. I love that they can see through the flap. But for the winter here, I needed something better. So this is the standard model. They have other models to put it in a wall that have more stuff on them. This is the basic model, and of course there's caulking on there. Forgive the tissues, they were there because I had just added some caulking and I didn't want the cats to actually rub against it, but this is what it looked like for the first year. So it's brand new, it's super clean. You can't see through it, of course, which is a small disadvantage, but it is very, very good. So this is me changing the cat flap this year. I just removed the plywood that I attached the summer cat flap to. And instead of caulking this year, I thought I'd try some tuck tape. I really should have put this on the frame that's on the window, not on the frame of the cat flap, because it ended up not being exactly in the right place and I needed to add some tape inside. But we'll see how that goes. This is our third winter. The first two winters went awesome. And so it's just some screws. So it's really easy. And we're going to get into how to train maybe your cats for this and also advantages and disadvantages. So make sure you clean the little magnets because as they use it, there's cat grease that gets in there. And the way this works, why it seals so well, is that there's a magnet, a line of magnet all around. So this is a day where it was minus 20 something Celsius. We're going to see the thermometer, 23. So minus almost 10 Fahrenheit. So like really cold. And the window is closed because if I don't monitor them, I didn't want them to go out in such intense weather because I'm afraid of like, I don't know, like the cat flap never froze. That was never an issue. But when it gets so cold, I don't necessarily always want them to go. And honestly, there is no wind coming in. There is no like, yeah, sure, the 2x3 is a bit cold, but like there's no wind, there's no like deep freeze coming from this area. It is really well sealed by the lines of magnets. I'll mention that in the catio, I do have a bin with styrofoam so that if they were to be stuck outside, they could still go in that. But sometimes in the winter, I actually close the window. That being said, seriously, like last year, I don't think I closed the window at all because this pet door works so well and Miley loves to go out even if it's really cold. He'll get out there for 2 minutes and he'll come back in. This is windy. You can see the vegetation moving a lot. It's on another day. And the wind wasn't coming in at all. So really, really good pet flap for Canadian weather. And of course, like it's somewhat isolated. The material is good, but it's really like you don't want the wind coming in and it's really good for that. One of the things I did is I captured some of this greasy residue on my summer cat flap. I did this the first year and it's not really pretty, but I actually rubbed it on where I expected them to have to push with their nose so that this could be a sign for them to realize, oh, hang on, it smells like this. It usually smells like this. This is where I need to push. This is another thing that I did to help them. On the left, you have the flap as it came in the mail. And on the right, you have the flap as I have it now, which is that I've painted part of it white. Why is this? Well, because the way this cat flap works, it actually has two cat flaps. So when they come out, the big black thing opens up, and when they go in, only this it looks more like fabric in this picture, like this inner part opens up towards the inside. And so on the left, it's a bit confusing because it's all black, and I realized they have the tendency to try to push on the black stuff, where really they need to push on the sort of fabricy layer when they want to come in. So that's why I did that, and it did seem to help them understand how this was working. So that's one thing you might want to do to help your cats. This is training. So like I showed them, yes, this is still a door. A big thing is it seals so well, they don't have the smells of the outside. So they were like, well, this is closed. No, it's not, little buddy. You just need to push a little harder, because this is harder to push. It's one of the disadvantages. But three of my cats actually ended up learning this. Even Leia, whom in another video you saw I needed to train to use a cat flap. And so, yeah, it's not like it really wants to close. It's a little heavier, so it lands on their back a bit more. But for cats who keep wanting to go outside, you can give them the opportunity to keep going outside, even if it's cold, because it seals so well. So from the outside, you see that it's the inner panel that pushes through, whereas when they come out, it's the bigger panel, the black panel, that comes out. You can also use a little magnet or any kind of metal piece that would stick to the magnets here. So I put this magnet on the other magnet. What that does is it leaves a little space so that the air will come in. Obviously, you're not going to do that at -20. Don't install this when it's -20 Celsius. Like, give yourself a chance. And it's wonderful that it's two flaps, because when you do this on a standard cat flap, you have a problem. They can go one way but not the other. But on this cat flap, there's no issues, because they can go out by pushing the big panel here. And when they come in, they push the inner panel. So having a piece of something on there doesn't prevent the flap from moving in one direction. So that's excellent. And it helps with training, because they can smell that, oh, I smell outside, and then coming back in, oh, I smell inside. So they're more likely to at least try to push on the cat flap. This is before it was painted. I'll let some of these images roll so you can see how they come in and out. And even Leia.